Alright all, and welcome back to the Day 2 preview of the Galway Festival with final selections, and also a little nod at the first day of glorious Goodwood, which starts today on Tuesday. It's Tuesday morning, it's around 9, half 9 here, 9:15 should I say, and we're trying to get stuck into the Day 2 action. Having a look back at yesterday over the Day 1 selections, out of the 7 selections, we had 2 lovely winners. I Am Magic drifted out to 15-2 and collected the opener for Lee Roach and Mikey O'Callaghan. And probably one of my better bets of the day, Citronade won the mile 4 handicap for Shane Foley and Jesse Harrington at 7-1. Under a very positive ride from Shane Foley. So 2 lovely priced winners and gave us a decent profit on the day, and we're potentially going to need that in the coffers for the next couple of days, because the ground has gone soft at Galway, it's gone heavy at Goodwood, and that usually is a bit of a minefield. And I'm stressing to people here, do be wary with your bets in this sort of ground with flat cards. Things get thrown out the water pretty quickly, especially over in Goodwood on heavy ground. Some of that form that you've seen throughout the summer becomes null and void. So just bear that in mind. Starting off though at Galway, again a little mix and match, some bigger price this time, some smaller price ones in there as well. Starting off with the 435, a 7 furlong maiden. I'm going to oppose the Weld horses in the first couple of races, even though they've very good chances and they both are odds on. I'm going to side with Moving for Gold here for Fozzie Stack and Chris Hayes. He's 5-2. He's 5-2. I think he's got a decent enough chance in this. His last 2 runs have been decent enough. He was second at Listowel before 4th at Navan. Back up to 7 furlongs should suit. He started off actually over a mile at Killarney. That looked to be a bridge too far at his first start, and the last 2 have been over 6 and then 5.5 at Navan. 5.5 at Navan is very stiff. A return to 7 furlongs should suit this horse, and at 5-2, I think he's got the most solid form in the race. The Dermot Well horse, Emily Gray, has got a very good chance in this. Probably similar enough, but just because of the Weld factor, that horse's odds on, as for Moving for Gold, is 5-2. 5-10 is a 7 furlong fillies maiden, and I'm going to take a chance here on an unraced horse in Alizarine for Shane Foley and Jesse Harrington. I just think at 11-1 she might be a little bit overpriced in the each way market. Again, Weld has another odds on favourite in an Aga Khan horse. But this Alizarine has got some lovely entries in the book. She's entered in the Debutante Stakes, the Moy Glare Stakes. So they obviously think relatively highly of her. And Jesse's juveniles have begun to become, have been coming to hand in recent weeks. And obviously she had a double there yesterday as well. So the horses are in fit and firing form. I think 11-1 just might be too big on this very well-bred filly. And hopefully she can run a good race. The 545 is the 7 furlong listed race. And I'm going to take a chance on one who has very good form in soft ground. And it's Lustown Baba for Willie McCreary and Billy Lee, who's currently 8-1. She ran a stinker the last day at the Curragh on ground that was probably a little bit lively. I think on soft ground she's an excellent filly, even over 7 furlongs. 6-7 furlongs seems to be her suiting trip. I know people will try to make the argument she's maybe a little bit better at 6, but I think she's more than capable to perform at 7 on soft ground here. And I think in this type of contest, she's one of the very few that's going to really appreciate the ground conditions, and as a result, I'm going to take a sniff at her at 8-1. Hopefully she can run handy as well, which seemed to suit on the first day based off results. The 6.15, the big BMW Colin Quinn mile. I'm going to take a real outside play on one here with Bowerman for Ado McGuinness and Joey Sheridan. One of my favourites if you know me well. But I think this horse is being plotted for something. Whether it's this race or whether it's some race down the line is beyond me. But he's currently 40-1 for this race, so I'm going to take a small squeak that it might be. He's been coming down the handicap massively ever after winning his Group 2 in Doha back in February time. He's ran a few stinkers this year, but 2 starts ago he ran an eye-catching race at the Curragh, I thought, then was put out in Ballinrobe last week, didn't run any type of race, and he returns here off a mark of 100. You have to remember he made an absolute mockery of the Irish Lincoln field last year off a mark of 98, so he's returning to that type of mark where he can begin to be competitive. Joey Sheridan takes the ride. I think it's worth a small squeak at 40-1 coming from stall 2. The 6.45, the extended mile race handicap for 3-year-olds. My nap of the day comes in this, and I am going to side with the Weld horse in this Baseman, who I think is a really nice horse and I think could still be very progressive even off an opening mark at 90. He's 5-2, best price. Colin Keane in the saddle, who had a winner or 2 yesterday. Dermot Weld had a winner yesterday, so all is looking good for this combination. Baseman did it nicely at Limerick the last day when winning really quite comfortably from a horse called Lord Luker. Stall 1. Hopefully shouldn't be of any inconvenience. He seems to be okay on this ground. He won on yielding last time out. Ran on heavy as a 2-year-old and didn't run up to form, but I think you can excuse that as such a young horse. I think he's strengthened since then, and hopefully he can run well. The 7.15 and the 7.45 are pie in the sky handicaps here at a fairly low level. I'm going to try out on Friday in the 7.15 at 12 to 1 for Phil Byrne and Killian Leonard. Won twice last year in very quick succession, including over this course and distance back in September time off a £2 lower mark. Hasn't been really himself this year, but is probably beginning to come back to a mark where he can be competitive and off 67 in this, stall 11. He usually goes from the front. I think he's got a small squeak. And in the 7.45, Reverberation here for Johnny Lamb and Shamie Heffernan, who is currently 16 to 1. Off a mark of 68, coming out of stall 8. He's usually a hold-up horse, usually comes with a long sweeping run. Hopefully he can do the same and run into the money at that type of price. 8.15, you know where I'm going to go, and I think rightly so. I should be going for Coventry here for Paul Nolan and Chris Hayes. He ran a super race last time when just getting chinned by My Sister Sarah off a mark of 70 over 2 miles. He seems to really like this staying flat trip. I thought he might have had a sniff in the amateur riders race yesterday if he'd gotten in. He was the 3rd reserve that day, didn't get in. He gets in today off a mark of 78. It's a lower grade race, stall 6. I think he's a lot going for him. 8 to 1 best price. Moving on to Goodwood, and I'll just have the 2 from there, as I think it's a pretty hard card, and also the heavy ground, as I said earlier, I think is going to cause a lot of problems. Starting off with the Lennox Stakes over 7 furlongs, I don't think many of these will want this race, and instead I'm going to be, want this ground should I say, I'm going to side for one that will, and that's Safe Voyage at 9 to 1 for John Quinn and Jason Hart. Back to winning ways last time out at Chester, after 2 lifeless runs at the start of this year, so it was good to see him back and returning to somewhat near his best. He seems to go well on heavy ground, which he showed in the foray last year, and I think he's got a decent sniff. And the 3.35, the big Goodwood Cup, I'm going to be siding for the big man, Stradivarius. I just think he's a better horse than the plenty of these. I don't think you can read too much into that Trushan race at the end of last year when Stradivarius had just run in the arc. I'm willing to put a line in the sand there. I think Stradivarius is still the best stayer going around now that the injury to Subjectivist, as you know, I think Subjectivist is an absolute beast. But he's not there anymore, unfortunately, and Stradivarius here, I think it's his race to lose, even on this worsening ground. And at 15 to 8, I think he's not a bad price. Anyway, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, please do give it a like and subscribe to the channel down below. And of course, let me know your selections for day 2 of the Galway Festival and day 1 of the Goodwood Festival. And until tomorrow, where I'll be covering day 3 and day 2, respectively, hope you stay safe, stay well, land a few bets, and I'll see you guys then.